Hello and welcome to this new episode of Educology. As the education world explores the strategies to equip students with the skills and knowledge they need to be successful innovators in a 21st century workforce, there has been a growing emphasis on STEAM, the educational discipline that engages students around the subjects of science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. In today's episode, we are going to delve into this topic with our permanent guest, Dr. Laurance Ajaka, the educational expert, and Dr. Mehdi Mansour, who is a Renaissance man with a PhD in physics, BS in Arabic literature, and an MS in STEAM education, among other accolades. He is here today to provide a solid basis for teachers, especially that his background in STEAM education allows him to share novel and innovative techniques for online learning. Hello, Dr. Mehdi. Hello, Dr. Laurance.
Hello, dear. Greetings to you, your guest, and our viewers.
Doctor, let's start with you. How is STEAM education important?
At its most basic, STEM or STEAM education, it stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. They added the A later on just to incorporate arts, to add arts to all the other majors. The key component, we have to be aware of something. STEM education is far more than just sticking science, engineering, mathematics, or arts all together. No, it's a philosophy of education that embraces teaching skills and subjects in a way that resembles real life. The key component of STEAM education or STEM is integration. Instead of teaching disciplines in independent subjects, silos, lessons are well-rounded with STEAM education. Projects and inquiry-based with a focus on interdisciplinary learning. STEM and STEAM align with the way we work and the problem solve in our daily lives. We solve the problems through that. Making it an exceptional way of instructing and learning, this is something very important for us. With STEM, we are teaching skills the way they will be used in the workforce. And that's why in the real world, that's why they generated what we call the 4 C's, which are critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. So like that, they will be capable of applying everything to their real life. Whenever they are sent to life, they will not have any problem, especially when they are in the workplace. Everything is implemented clearly, and they know how to correlate ideas, and they can make good use of mathematics, good use of engineering, and they can incorporate them in all the fields to get the best out of it. Picture, for instance, an architect. An architect uses science, math, engineering, and technology to do their jobs.
And art.
And art as well.
Yeah.
They integrate all of these ones to get the best that they can generate.
Dr. Mehdi, for you as an expert, why is STEAM education as important?
STEAM education is important because it resembles an opportunity to bring reality into the classroom. So as Dr. Laurance was saying, for a long time, we used to teach subjects in silos. It's like having independent tents in the school, where students enter the math classroom with a perception about math, and then they go out with a perception of their teacher about math. And they enter another classroom in science or in art without having any correlation between all of these subjects. So in STEAM education / project-based learning, where students learn by doing a project. So while doing that project, if they need to measure something in mathematics, they will use mathematics. And if they need some scientific method processes to assure what kind of material in order to use, let's say we are building a water filter. This is a real world problem. It's not something you are posing on the students as abstract. We are teaching students something real, environment, water problems. Let's take how to make salty water a drinkable water. All of these are issues, real world issues. Probably we don't talk about them because we are lucky in Lebanon. We have drinkable water, but worldwide, drinkable water is similar to oil. It's energy problem. Okay, so bringing that reality into the classroom, students need probably to apply some scientific method to know what materials are needed in order to build the best filter for that people in Africa can drink the water collected from the rain or something else. At that moment, they really needed that science. It was authentic.
True.
That science was not written in the book. They needed it because of the project-based learning. Similarly, they bring the mathematics needed and other materials.
Exactly. We don't need the children to memorize anymore random facts.
Exactly.
No, we need them just the facts are at our fingertips. We can have it at any time. We can pull out any phone and in seconds get the fact that we want. We have to let them think critically to have a good knowledge of the environment they are living in. A good knowledge of your the environment will let you know yourself very well. This will help you just to be a very wise person. You will learn a lot of things, and the more you learn, the better your life becomes.
Exactly.
Maybe you will learn from your own experience.
Exactly. That's the problem in our society with the millennial generation. They believe that children should learn from their parents' experiences. And that's completely wrong.
That's how you replicated generations without creativity.
Yes, but that is not applicable for the centennial and the alpha generations.
True.
They are more into technology, maybe into learning something new through their own experience.
Let's say they are paving their own way, but we can't leave them like that. We have to cope with them with our expertise and give them a clear sense of direction to be on the safe side and to send them to life to be responsible ones.
Exactly.
Dr. Mehdi, how will STEM education improve the students' work?
So basically, let me start from what Dr. Laurance ended by, is our perception about technology as all teachers. Okay, now we are new, I know that, but we have a lot of people who are working in the educational field that have a lot of fear from teaching technology.
They don't accept changes.
Yes, and probably they didn't incorporate that in their childhood education. That's why they try to prevent going that deep with their students. However, as Dr. Laurance is saying, students are way in front of their teachers in that field. So let's put things in context. Technology is the future. It's something that we cannot start our education system without. Our students will, with or without the teacher, will really grab that information or that skill that's related to technology.
Oh, we should not forget the fact that STEM or STEAM education helps students to foster a love for learning.
True.
And that's what we really need.
You know why? Because they make meaning of their learning and they take responsibility. In one of the examples, let's put things in context. One of the examples, students ask why we study the conductivity of a material. So it lets electricity to pass through it. This is a question that students in grade 7 or grade 6 ask the teacher, is that important only for lighting or making devices work? In STEM education or /STEAM, we have different answers. This conductivity, measuring the conductivity of the water, tells us about the minerals in the water and if this water is drinkable or not. That's how we test the filter that we were talking about in the beginning of this episode, if the project is working or not. So linking electricity and making use of that technology in that context will give meaning of the learning process itself.
True. You reminded me of one of our episodes. I said that, why do we need mathematics if our students don't know how to go to the bank and have a banking transaction properly, they have to ask hundreds of questions in order to get something done.
Exactly.
Why don't use mathematics to be applicable in their real life?
True.
That's STEAM education.
But
Thank
this is
you.
not the same when students go from school to universities.
The STEAM education should be acquired at early ages.
Exactly. It
This
should be a
will
habit.
help a lot. I still remember in America, I think Microsoft had a kind of statistics, and according to that statistics, they found out the earlier students are exposed to the STEAM disciplines, the better. In a study by Microsoft, 4 in 5 STEM or STEAM college students, 78%, said they decided to study STEM in high school or earlier, and 1 in 5, 21%, decided in middle school or earlier. Yet only 1 in 5 STEM college students feel that their K-12 education prepared them extremely well for their college courses in STEM. There are also appears to be a major disparity in the female to female ratio when it comes to those employed in STEAM fields. Getting more girls interested in STEAM disciplines is another facet of the movement. So basically, those who started with STEAM education at a very early age, they will find it very easy to enter into the university life. We know that every transition is a struggle by itself. With the STEAM education, transition
It
will
can
be
go
much
more
easier.
True.
Don't you believe so?
Definitely, definitely. So as you're saying, it should be integrated in the curricula of primary. We cannot wait until the secondary school to put them in a real world problem. It should be a mind habit. Because as we mentioned at the beginning, it's a discipline. When I say discipline, it's a way of thinking. So in STEM, it's not only about the subjects all combined together. Let me explain more. When we say engineering, just do a survey with any primary students about engineering. Define an engineer. What is engineering?
Building
Thank you.
houses.
Building houses, programming, building bridges, engineering, probably electrical engineering, making setups.
Maybe even primary students will not say electrical engineering.
Because
the
they don't-
engineering is for them
Building
building houses,
something.
building bridges.
Exactly. Now, the real answer of the question is, when we ask us what is engineering, should be define a problem. Engineering is a process, it's not an adjective. It's a process. So first of all, what is engineering? Engineering is defining a problem, doing a research about the problem, devising a plan to solve that problem. In our schools, we don't give time to defining the problem, especially in education. If you put a problem on the table, you will find educators jumping to conclusions rather than giving the real time
Exactly.
for that empathy
Giving
phase.
the
of-
solution directly.
Exactly.
That's because the education wasn't clear.
Exactly.
You need to study. We always look for the solution. We
Yes.
try to help our children of finding a solution for something that does not work.
Exactly.
We need to trigger, to provoke their critical thinking, to study the problem from all sides, because when they study, they have good background about the causes that led to that problem. It will not reappear in their life later on.
Exactly. So defining the problem, researching about the problem, devising a plan, then testing if the
it
solution
works.
is working, then iterating. It's a similar thing like a mother doing a new kind of food. So the first time she states what kind of food she's trying to do. Then preparing the materials and doing some research and watching some YouTube about doing that process. Then trying it. Then tasting it. Then trying to add something, then tasting
improve it.
Then asking others, and finally she can invite people to taste it. This is engineering. It's not me, it's engineering. By academia, that's how we define engineering. That's why Aristotle used to write on the wall of his academy, if you are not engineer, don't enter. engineering is a discipline. Now, the question to you again, do our students understand the meaning of engineering, and can they really apply that discipline as a mind habit? I don't know. If the answer is yes, then you are teaching them right STEAM education. If the answer is no, then you're not doing right.
That applies to all disciplines. I still remember during the Victorian era, people used to teach their daughters how to have good management skills at home. They told them the good management skills at home will help you to have good management skills everywhere in the society.
Yeah, yeah.
But they didn't have STEAM education at that time. They generated it in a way that it helped a lot.
Yeah.
But don't you think we need to convince instructors a lot? Why do we suffer, do you think, when we say that STEAM education should be applicable everywhere?
Yeah. It's not an easy change, because those who are teaching by the book since so long, and they are used to repeat the same curriculum days after days, even in new curricula, even the Common Core. Some teachers believe that what they are doing in science, or they used to do in science before the Common Core standards in America, but between parentheses, the Common Core stresses on compiling the scientific method to the engineering design. Before the Common Core, to go to the beginning of the discussion, where the term came from. It came because NASA needs engineers. That's it.
Right.
Those who went to the moon and built those rockets to go to the moon became at an age that they really need fresh bodies and bloods in their system. So at that moment, they claimed this to the government. And a lot of education and research were done, and they noticed that we teach students the science without having the engineering as a part of it. So they don't apply what they know. We have good knowledge, but we don't have skills to transform this knowledge into something real, into practice. And that's why, and I think in the beginning of the 1990s, we started to see research about that. And 20 years ago, we started to see the term. Those teachers who used to escape this kind of engineering in their classrooms, it's not an easy thing to convince them that they have to change. But the question here, do really train teachers how to do it? Did we provide them with the resources so that they find it easy? Did we evaluate them ongoing according to reach the results? I believe that in the educational sector, there is a gap in the management of STEAM education, because we have a lot of perceptions, and every school coordinator or principal have something in mind that might lead to different results.
What are some problems with the STEM education?
One of the biggest problems is the setting of the classroom. Let's just put things in context. As we started to say by the beginning that we need all of these materials to be compiled. Now I have different teachers. How can I make those teachers work and integrate in parallel so that this can be implemented here? Okay. So the philosophy, as Dr. Laurance was saying at the beginning, it's a philosophy. So the philosophy we approach STEM education must change from the old philosophy. If this is not a change, you cannot do it. It's not applicable. So first of all, how to train a set of teachers on implementing that philosophy. This is first. Second, how can I find a curriculum that combines all of these
Can
together?
I interrupt in here?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So many instructors or teachers struggle with a system that focuses on assessment and grades rather than a program that fosters innovation and creativity, critical thinking skills, and the problem solving. These achievements are not something that can be easily boxed up or assessed.
Yeah.
They are struggling and they are fighting just to keep summative assessment instead of formative assessment.
Exactly.
Thanks to STEAM education, that it can lead to formative assessment.
Exactly. More
you can understand your existence the globe around you. You can have a good understanding of everything. You can start from here to there. You know where you are.
Exactly.
Your life is a multiple choice question in every single thing, and you have to know how to approach the right question by eliminating the ones which are not applicable and get the ones ready. You save time. You let the person work under pressure. You let that person have a critical way of thinking. They don't rely on emotions.
What
Exactly.
are other problems, Dr.
Yes, so going back to what we are both discussing is, I don't blame the teacher if he aims to have good results in the exams, because their students, the results of their students in the exam gives an indication for the higher management about their
That's
work
right.
and their process.
Is it a good way of assessment?
It's not. I'm just
But this
being
is the
objective.
this is what's happening
being
now.
objective of what's happening in Lebanon. I always read an articles or posts or messages from teachers that they know that I'm in that field, saying, I do believe in that, but if I give it the right time, the proper way, and the needed care, I will be losing the track with the curriculum, where the teacher or the coordinator or probably the school principal will ask me, why your student, because you should assess as you are teaching. There is a discrepancy in many of the, not only in Lebanon, worldwide. There is a discrepancy between the way we assess and the way we teach. These should be compiled together, accompanied together. So this is another problem. One of the also...
The good thing in Finland is that they keep at an early age, the first thing that they do, they define which area of intelligence the student has or the child has, and they motivate that child and let that child with that talent to try to correlate that talent with other kinds of intelligence to integrate it into education. That's how we teach them. Laurence used to be bad at mathematics at school, so she doesn't have the right to go for anything related to mathematics. This is something too saddening.
Yes.
They can't judge me in this way. They can't assess me in this way.
Yes.
They need to help me
To improve
approach mathematics to other fields of life, to other disciplines. So like this, I can have a good understanding of everything. I don't wait until the age of 21 or 25 during prematurity to know how we can work and how we can get things applicable to our lives. My students always ask me at the university, if you got back with time, what would you change in your life? Told them that I wish I had the way of thinking I have right now at the age of 26. Maybe by then I would get the best of life. But unfortunately, we have to pass through every stage and learn, and we have to get our own experience. We can't learn from others.
Let's stop with a short break and we will be right back. Welcome back to Educology. Dr. Mehdi, before the break we were talking about the assessment problem in STEM education. What do you want to add, please?
Concerning the assessment, there is a big difference in the approach between the previous traditional kind of working and the STEM education. One of the indications that one can see is the type of answers you are getting from the students. At the beginning, you give a student a problem and you expect an answer, and you accordingly can prepare an answer key, because all the answers will look like something you have in mind. In STEAM education, it's always open-ended. You will never, up to my knowledge and experience, you will never find someone reaching a result exactly the same as reached by another group.
Definitely.
So this is very important to be trained on. The teacher should really understand. Second, in mathematics or in science,
it's meant for creativity in here.
Exactly. It's a divergent thinking rather than having convergence in the traditional way.
That's right.
Second thing, which is also important, that in the traditional way of teaching slash assessing, if you have pass and fail. In STEAM education, you fail forward. Even if you fail, you fail forward. So if the project didn't work, then you did not fail, then you are still in the iterate phase of the engineering principle.
Still trying it.
Exactly. So if the food is not really good,
You can still improve it.
thank you. Thank you. And this is a very big difference in the philosophy point of view.
You're failing forward. I like that.
You are
So
failing forward.
what's happening? Those children, or at an early age, are trying, and this is incepted in their subconscious. Later on in life,
Thank you.
later on in life, they will have such information
But
in
they
their
will
bank,
persevere in solving the
and
problems.
they will persevere.
Exactly.
They will go back to that previous knowledge, and they will benefit from it.
Exactly. That's the real benefit from it. Because our students don't have patience to solve problems. They always call their parents to solve their problems. They always take easy exits from the problem.
Joyce, the attention span for a student is not more than 10 minutes. For an adult, it's 20 minutes. Instead of letting them listen to us, lecturing them, we can monitor them, we can assign a task, monitor them, and have a report about every single person. Passing that report from one instructor to the other will help a lot of the instructors.
Maybe this is the fact what's happening now in online courses in schools. They are giving 4 to 6
long
hours,
videos, yeah.
4 to 6 hours during the day for a student to sit in front of his laptop or tablet and watch the class. Nothing to do.
You know why, Joyce? Because our educational experts did not give the right time for the problem to solve it properly. They jumped into those solutions. Yani one of the biggest issues, who told you about the proper time, screening time for the kids? Who told you about that? What's making you sure so that you give مثلا 5 hours a day rather than 3 hours a day in kgs? I don't know.
I can let a child working with me online for 3 hours.
Maybe you
But
have to work and
I
motivate
don't
this
let
child.
that child stop speaking.
Exactly.
I listen to that child. I make
That's
them
right.
do something that we need to open neurons in our brain. Neurons can't be opened through those traditional methods. No, we need your methods, STEM education, because it focuses on critical thinking, and the critical thinking will help problem solving. Problem solving will help you open your neurons. The more neurons you open, the more logical and controllable you will be about your life.
And the students would be more motivated.
The engineering
to
of your
work.
life, let's say, doctor.
Yes. Our life is a project by the end.
Exactly.
Dr. Mehdi, one of the biggest concern I hear from people about STEAM education is the lack of resources.
True.
What do you say about
They
it?
are right. You know why? Because like in everything in life, once you propose an idea, big companies will come and provide you with solutions from a business perspective, not from education perspective. Let me tell you, when we talk about resources, we need resources to build the curriculum. Okay, يعني I need a book, I need a guide, I need a teacher guide. This is first. Second, I need some settings in the school, like a laboratory, like a hall, like a working space, like a fab lab. This is also resources. Then, third, we really need some materials. At some point, if you are doing a project, you have to build that project from using these plastics, those papers, whatever. So you need some chemicals or probably some materials. And finally, all what you need is time and training. For me, those are the pillars of doing the right and proper STEAM education. One of the issues that someone worldwide came and said technology is computers and coding. When I asked you about engineering at the beginning, you said it's building something. Someone else believes that STEAM, the T in STEAM, is coding. Okay, then our teachers that entered the schools of education did not learn coding. Coding is something else. Then they will not proceed with that philosophy because someone came and told them technology is coding. And this is wrong. I'm not a coder. I have PhD in physics. I'm not a coder. But, just a second. But if we go into that misunderstanding, we eliminate one of the issues. What is technology? You go and Google it. You go to the experts in STEAM education and see what they say about it. They say, first of all, it is an object. Technology, it's first of all an object. The paper is an object. Since this paper can solve my problem, if you gave me your phone number and I don't have a good memory, then this paper might solve this problem. As simple as that. This is an object. This also will let me drink something ongoing. It's a container. This is an object. Technology, first of all, is an object. Second, it's a system of objects. For example, this pen. Okay, here you can turn it, you can change the color probably, you can save it for later. This process happened here. It's between two objects. This is a process. I mean, sorry, a system of objects. Third, it's a recipe. Sometimes if I ask you to do pizza, and it's the first time you do pizza,
you need a recipe.
You need a recipe. Recipe is technology. Now, if we go to the educators and say, hey guys, technology is system, object, or recipe, then they will find that T in STEM is something doable in the schools and the classrooms. It's not coding and having Arduino boards and getting robots from China and finding someone to budget. It's not like that. You are talking about something.
You can implement it from the smallest things that you have
Exactly.
around.
The simple, the better.
That's what happened with Montessori teaching methods. There they started STEAM education.
Some plastic bottles, some papers, newspapers. I've experienced a lot of very interesting projects from NASA. I'm not saying about any project in this episode I expected or I developed. One of the biggest projects written by NASA experts, and it's been taught in America right now. I have a visibility on these enrichments. They asked students in the primary to build a rocket to go from Earth to the moon, which resembled by two walls in the classroom, and the rocket will be the balloon, and holding a satellite, or a satellite probably might be a plastic cup or something like that, and they immerse them in that engineering process so that you can see how this rocket, if it really went from one side into another, and what you need to change, how many balloons you implemented, how did you set the balloon, because if you flip it, it will move in an opposite direction. Those questions are really important to build engineers. And I did not code here. I'm not saying that coding is not important. It is really important. But I'm not stopping the implementation of such an important philosophy in our schools and link it to something I do believe that most of the teachers are not ready to it.
So based on what you just said, how to get kids interested in STEAM education?
By posing an interesting problems. Yani, for example, if I ask my students to, I immerse them in a problem and I ask them if we are living beside a river, say Baqlin River or Litani River in Lebanon or somewhere else, and we want to check if this water in that river is drinkable, because one of our colleagues by mistake drank water from that river. We need to check if he's safe, or probably there is a problem that might this is very interesting for the kids. And we take them into a field trip to that river, we collect some water and we go back to the lab and we do some scientific method to check about the components of that water, and then we put the engineering process.
Here you're encouraging their curiosity.
Questioning.
That's the first
and
thing.
critical
Exactly.
thinking.
Yes.
Accuracy, having the tools to measure something correctly. And this is very important. Kids are ready. We are not ready.
Get annoyed, or the children get annoyed, if we have a Microsoft session with them and the parents are next to them. We let them question, explore, and play. We let them do a lot of things. Like that, we are engaging them in something. Time will fly by.
Exactly.
And the students or the children will benefit. Mothers will learn, or fathers will learn how to sit next to their children, how to approach them in this new age. Everything is imposed on us. We have to cope with it. I still remember when we used to teach our students TOEFL. They used to work under a certain, they learned there how to have time management, how to have a critical thinking, and how to work under pressure. They used to think in a way that they should not rely on emotions at all. And the MCQs were so close to each other. They had to be very, accurate to give the right topic or the right answer. Things in here are meant to help those kids work very well. I used to see some students in my classes who didn't know anything about English, but they excelled in TOEFL exams, and vice versa. One student, he was an engineer. He repeated the TOEFL 7 times. 7 times, and he didn't know how to do it. And he had a very good English. And another one, he was an engineer as well. He passed it from the first time just because he's used to that way of learning, to STEAM education. He knows how to correlate things together, and accordingly, he passed it from the first time. We have to change that. When you go for summative assessment, you're assessing one side. But when you go for formative assessment, you are here filtering the talents or the potentials of the child or the students.
Exactly.
Do you want to add anything
Yes,
about what Dr.
I want to
said?
assure that what Doctor is saying, that in this kind of teaching, STEAM teaching, it's not a one-day thing. It's not a one-day project. So you keep on assessing ongoing. So if you're proposing, let's say, a story about the challenge, you go and assess the outcomes of that story, the key terms, the comprehension after that. Then later on, if you need some science to make sure about the materials, you go and assess the science. So it's a continuous, formative, constructive assessment that will end up with a result that will also not end up, because it's an open-ended thing.
You're helping them to become innovators in an ever-evolving world.
And the problem solvers.
It's paramount.
Yes.
At the level of teachers, Dr. Mehdi, how can STEAM education help educators?
At the level of teacher, it will bring confidence to the teacher. For a long time, we used to hear teachers talking about classroom management. One of the problems in the classroom management is that the teacher can't manage students are not happy with what they are learning. But if you are putting on the table something that will engage them, then the 5 E's will go on. Then when you engage properly with the proper materials, then they will explore.
Exactly.
And then you can explain with them about what's happening. And then you both can evaluate the results. And finally, you can extend, you can take it further. So for the teacher, for me as a teacher, I will be really happy if I'm providing something meaningful to my students. I'm doing, by the end, you know, teacher satisfaction is related to achievements. Take any teacher worldwide. I believe in this. I truly believe in this. There is no real teacher that will be happier in his salary rather than happier in his students' achievement. I worked in schools, and I'm an example of many. A lot of people are like me. I've worked in schools that did not pay me well. However, students' achievement in the exams and probably in their life, and they became my friends right now, that was my ROI, return of investment.
So you were satisfied by their achievement.
Doctor, we are creatures of habits. We are creatures of habits. We let those children from early age to engage. We engage them. We let them explore. We explain to them, and we let them evaluate. If they do that in every single way in life, in every single task, they will arrive to a time they will do it automatically.
Exactly, exactly.
And we need that.
That's what I call it habits of mind.
Practice is key to everything in life.
Exactly.
If you know how to do it, you're doing it greatly. They used to do that with the DIY in America.
Yeah,
do it yourself.
Yeah.
Whenever you want to do something in the house, you don't need to go call somebody to do it. You try to do it yourself.
Do it yourself is a mini example of STEAM education philosophy.
That's right.
Exactly.
Well, I believe that the STEAM education is important because it will help teachers have a kind of empowerment. They will empower, they know how to employ project-based learning that crosses each of the 5 disciplines.
Right.
If they do that, they will be on the safe side. Joyce, I still remember in Finland, when they implemented at the beginning STEAM education, students used to love to come to school and they love to stay in there, though they don't have the right to stay more than 4 to 5 hours. They used to go and continue at home that much. Don't you think so?
Yeah, I really do believe in that. And
here I would like to ask you, if you, after your permission, what applications do you suggest for STEAM education that teachers can follow in the long run?
Yes.
And they can benefit from that without having the fear of being or implementing such a new techniques or ways of teaching?
Yes, if I can give a title of that question, I call it the futuristic question, because for last year, up to my knowledge, STEAM education was based on hands-on and doing it in the classroom.
There is no applications.
Since coronavirus spread worldwide and started to hear new research about STEAM education from an online perspective, we started to see some applications that are not tested by education research so far. However, EIE, which is educational engineering is elementary, that's taking place in Boston right now. They are developing something really interesting, digitizing everything in STEAM education. And they send you a box to your home with the needed materials, with not the needed answers, with the needed materials. Yani if you need to use the right paper in order to do this project, I'll send you 4 papers and you have to do the scientific method in your kitchen rather than doing it at the laboratory. So there is a trend in digitizing right now, but up to my knowledge, there is no academic research talking about any application that tackles STEAM education online properly. There are a lot of platforms that provide teachers with resources. For example, STEM.org. It provides teachers with a lot of resources and they certify them. They give them a course online, something like that. Also, as I mentioned before, there is EIE, which is engineering is elementary. This is also important. We have a list of platforms that provide enrichments and curricula, but to do that virtually from a distance, this is a new to the field. Up to my knowledge. Okay, up to my, probably there is something I didn't read about.
We were talking about STEM and /STEAM. Why did we add the A to STEM as arts?
That's a very good question, because Einstein once said that imagination is more important than knowledge.
Right.
And you cannot be a perfect engineer if you don't have the sense of art and without imagination.
Exactly.
Look, I'm biased to the A, and I don't call it art only. A is all other materials. You cannot teach an interdisciplinary perspective, okay,
without having that touch.
Exactly. All other, even history, even geography. Sometimes you need. In that project that I decided from the beginning to have an example for the audience to listen to something real. In that example, where we are testing the water, we can do it in all America, and every school does some research about the river that's the closest river to the school, and then we teach them about the geography of the states and how the research is being
through STEM education, you're helping
there.
them to have sustainable development. It will help to preserve your environment,
Right.
the earth that you're living on.
Yes,
You're
yes.
helping them in a lot of ways that to value things, to evaluate it, to know how to approach things.
And that's why it matches with the SDGs,
Right.
Sustainable Development Goals.
That's right.
By the UN. And that's very important, by the way. That's a very important thing.
Our teachers are ready to learn maybe STEAM education.
They are really interested. A lot of them have contacted me from the region, not only from Lebanon. Not only me, actually. I've been in touch with many
One of
experts.
the people who were
Yes, and
called
they
for
are
that.
looking for courses. They are looking for workshops. They are looking for certificates. And if that means something to them, then it's an indication about the
We hope so.
yeah, it's exploding.
How can
We
they
hope
don't
so.
like that if Joyce, they are incorporating for them an inquiry-based principles and a highly adaptable framework to suit students
Exactly.
of various needs.
Exactly.
If they will remain with the old traditional techniques, they will get tired. But with this one, they will learn with their
Yeah,
students.
they will get tired and retired because future will not wait.
That's right. Actually, yes.
Do you want to add anything?
I just wanted to ask him about the measures that should be taken in order to promote STEAM education, though so many educators or experts object to that, stating or claiming that it will make us fully digitized.
Then at this moment, let's tell teachers that technology is not digitizing anything. Let teachers know that we have a lot of experiences, that we send the problem to the students and we follow up with them online so that they develop in their homes what we are expecting them to do in the school. We need to provide the teachers with the proper enrichment activities. The teacher is not an author. The teacher is not an author. One of the biggest problems that they nag about the lacking of such things. So one of the measures that should be taken is providing teachers with the materials. And finally, we have to make the grading scheme more flexible for the teachers so that they really assess skills rather than assessing knowledge.
But let's admit it, today's education system does not focus enough on teaching children to solve real world problems.
Exactly.
And is not interdisciplinary nor collaborative enough in its approach,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
If I can
And
give an
here
advice.
I liked her question when she told you that how we can encourage those instructors or teachers to adopt that new
STEAM
technique of STEAM
education.
education.
Yes, yes.
Dr. Mehdi Mansour, thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
Dr. Laurance, we'll see you next
Thanks to
week,
you
of
and to your
course.
guest, hopefully.
For here, we come to end our episode. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, keep smiling, and see you next week.